Lincoln's term began on shaky ground. 2 days after the election, he received a phone call from a part-time dishwasher named Edwin Stanton, who worked in Big Dan Lincoln's tavern in Springburg. Stanton threatened to expose the newly elected president's Australian heritage, pointing out that the U.S. Constitution stipulated that no person born outside of American soil could stand as president. This nationality technicality was little known at the time, and even fewer people were aware of Abe's birth in the Outback. Stanton demanded a cabinet position in exchange for his silence, and Lincoln relented. Stanton handed in his 2-week notice to Big Dan and was quickly appointed Secretary of War. But suddenly, an even bigger problem than blackmail faced this new president. A rift that had been forming between northern and southern states for many years culminated in a threat by the South to secede from the Union. Lincoln was outraged. He reluctantly dispatched his new Secretary of War, Edwin Stanton, to meet with the Southern leader Jefferson Davis in an attempt to convince the Confederacy to abandon such an endeavor. Stanton, however, had no formal education or social skills, and the meeting quickly degenerated into a diplomatic fiasco. The lowest point reached when Secretary Stanton employed a pair of Davis's priceless Elizabethan figurines to perform a disturbing and graphically suggestive puppet show. As Davis later said, "This impudent act, characteristic of the North, made clear the righteous destiny of our secession and the steeliness of my resolve." A civil war was now inevitable. So with Robert E. Lee and 6 of his most popular generals stuffed and on display at the Washington Zoo, Abe felt at last he could enjoy a light evening on the town. The presentation at Ford's Theater in Washington was Our American Cousin, and it was being hailed by critics as the feel-good play of the pre-Reconstruction period. It was April 14th, 1865. Midway through the second act, Abe and Mary were enjoying the rollicking play immensely, but their ignorant chuckles masked the malevolent trespass of John Wilkes Booth, a dark and swarthy actor sympathetic to the Southern cause. Once inside the president's box, Booth drew his loaded Derringer pistol, leveled it an inch from Lincoln's head, and cocked his weapon. Startled by this sound, Lincoln, quick and agile as a cat, was on his feet in a flash. A surprised Booth fired instinctively, grazing Lincoln's torso. A master of the nunchuck, Abe quickly subdued his would-be assassin with a dizzying display of martial artistry, the likes of which would not be witnessed again until the 1970s. Ford's Theater, meanwhile, had erupted in pandemonium, many in the audience racing out into the street in confusion as to the president's actual condition. News quickly spread throughout Washington that the president had been shot.